Hello, and welcome to your introduction to the Participant Equity Standards. In this presentation, you will learn about the Participant Equity Standards that every person entering shelter or transitional housing must sign and agree to. This presentation will also include a brief introduction of important terminology and also include strategies for having this conversation with participants. Transition Projects strives to provide services for anyone who is experiencing homelessness. Our services are often delivered in a group setting, for instance, in the shelters or in the resource center. It is important to us that these spaces are not discriminatory or unwelcoming to anyone. We hope that by implementing these equity standards, people will not separate from services for any other reason than their needs having been successfully met. These equity standards are not designed as a tool for punishment, but rather as a way for staff and participants to work together in finding solutions to complicated situations. Equity does not mean that everyone receives the exact same treatment. Equity means that we strive to successfully meet each person's individual needs. The new Participant Equity Standards are meant to help both staff and participants navigate scenarios with equity implications comfortably and in collaboration with others. Before reviewing the policy itself, we will first discuss the goals and objectives of this initiative. Why do we need this policy? It is important to us that our spaces and programs are not discriminatory or unwelcoming to anyone. We hope that by implementing these equity standards, people will not separate from services for any other reason than their needs having been successfully met. These equity standards are not designed as a tool for punishment, but rather as a way for staff and participants to work together in finding solutions to complicated situations. Policy Goal 1: Create a welcoming environment. Transition Projects commits to advancing equity and inclusion within our agency and our community by creating an environment in which all individuals are treated with respect and dignity, where diversity is valued and welcomed, and where we positively impact those who have been historically unrepresented, oppressed, and neglected. Policy Goal 2: Openly discuss and prohibit oppressive language and behavior. Transition Projects prohibits harassment, discriminatory language, and oppressive behavior towards anyone, including employees, participants, volunteers, and community members. This includes the use of racial or ethnic slurs, misgendering or using the wrong pronouns or names, and language or behavior that demonstrates prejudiced thoughts towards others. Policy Goal 3: Create more space for accountability. All participants will be held accountable to the equity standards and agree to be respectful of others, the facility, and boundaries, work to change your language and behaviors to not oppress or otherwise harm anyone around you, and own the impact of your words and actions, and listen to understand others' experience. How will this policy change things? Staff are already having to navigate complicated situations with equity impacts every single day. Prior to this policy, we did not have any official documentation that 1. All participants must understand and acknowledge, and 2. Officially created room for staff to handle complex situations without having to rely upon discipline. This policy changes that. The implementation of these equity standards will provide frontline staff with the opportunity to educate participants, hold them accountable, and create a more inclusive and welcoming environment.